this online Word Group podcast or YouTube channel. On there, we would like to suggest the three positional questions. Number one, in verse 4, and a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath from God, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. What's the response of all the men of Israel in their sight of Goliath, and what can we learn from it? Question 2 in verse 26. Then David spoke to the man who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who kills the Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine? And he should defy the armies of the living God. What's the difference between David's perspective and the man who stood by him? How can we apply it to our lives? Last question, verse 45. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. What does it mean, and what can we learn from here? In the last time, in the 1 Samuel chapter 16:23, and so it reads, whenever the Spirit from God was upon Saul, and David should take a harp and play it with his hand, then Saul would become refreshed and well, and the distressing spirit would depart from him. David played the soothing harp when the soul's mental condition was unstable. It's observed the sovereign God controlled all things, his stretching spirit, traveling soul, his servant's recruit of David as a harp player, and unbearable, refreshing soul, and so on, work together to train David a good king of Israel. It's learned that no matter what circumstances, now either good or bad, we should trust God with whole heart and follow his direction through prayer. Verse 1, now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle and were gathered in Succoth, which belongs to Judah. They encamped between Succoth and Azekah and Ephes Dammim, and Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in battle away against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. And a champion went out from the camp, the Philistine, named Goliath from God, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Goliath was a giant who was 9 feet or 2.74 meters tall, because 6 cubits times 80 inches, 9 feet, so over 2.7 meters. In verses 11-24, all the men of Israel were dismayed or discouraged and dreadfully afraid. They did see immediately the physical alarm rather than the spiritual alarm. Like all the children of Israel complaining against Moses and Aaron in the spies report about a man of great stature compared with grasshoppers in their sight. Except Joshua and Goliath report upon faith in the Lord who was with them. It's a sin of king over Basan was 9 cubits tall. 13.5 feet or 4.12 meters. They should like Caleb and Joshua have trusted in the Lord, His promise with all their heart. And then the Lord would have directed their paths at whatever circumstances. So cross reference right there. Verse 5, he had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. 5,000 shekels, the weight of the coat was 125 pounds or 57 kilograms, because here the whole calculate right there. Verse 6. And he had a bronze armor on his laps and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spear head weighed 600 shekels, and a shield there went before him. Verse 8, then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, why have you come out to the line up for the battle? Am I not a Philistine, and you the servants of Saul? Choose a man for your service, let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then we shall be our servants and serve ours. Follow or not, the victors would become masters of the losers as slaves. 11. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of Ephraim of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and who had 8 sons. And the man was old, advanced in years in the days of Saul. The 3 eldest sons of Jesse had gone to follow Saul to the path of battle. The names of his 3 sons who went to battle were Eliab, the firstborn, next to him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest, and the 3 oldest followed Saul. 14. David, the 8th or last son of Jesse, was a little shepherd boy. Later, David became a king, receiving Davidic covenant from God. Your house and your kingdom can be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. The Messiah will come from David. David realized that God's grace was so great. He knew that God had been too good to him. He was nothing, and God made him king. Who am I, O Lord, and what is my house that you have brought me this far? Verse 15. But David occasionally went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. 16. And the Philistine drew near and presented himself for 40 days, morning and evening. Without attacking each other, they went on for 40 days because the Elah Valley was a battle ground between them. It's always easier to run down the hill at the enemy and to run up the hill. It's always easier to throw stones down to hill and up. They watched over each other at the best spots. 17. I'll go here. And the Philistine drew near, presenting himself 40 days, morning and evening. Then 17 and 18. Jesse said to his son David, take now for your brothers an ephah of this dried grain, and these 10 robbers and run to your brothers at the camp and carry these 10 cheeses to the captain of their thousands and see how your brothers fare and bring back news of them. 1718, David was sent on an errand by his father Jesse. 1701 April, third fifth bushel, that 21 liters. 18, Ella Valley was 9 miles or 40 kilometers from Bethlehem to the Gaza. Verse now 19. Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. 20. So David rose early in the morning, left the ship with a keeper, and took the things and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the camp as the army was going out to the fight and shouting for the battle. For Israel and Philistines had gone out in battle array, army against army. And David left his supplies in the hand of the supply keeper, went to the army and came and greeted his brothers. 23. Then as he talked with them, there was the champion, the Philistine of God, Goliath by name, coming up from the armies of the Philistines. And he spoke according to the same words. So David heard them, same words, meaning verses 8 to 10. Then here, same words. So David heard them, 24. And all the men of Israel, when they saw them, and fled from him, and were dreadfully afraid. So the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come up to defy Israel. It shall be the man who killed him, the king, will enrich with great riches, will give him his daughter, and give his father's house exemption from taxes in Egypt. 26. Then David spoke to the man who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who killed this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? David saw things in the proper perspective in the spiritual realm. All the men of Israel were so overwhelmed by Goliath in the physical realm. We often are overwhelmed by our problems that we lose true perspective. And when we lost the true perspective, fear grips our hearts. And then we are just open for defeat. Here they all were dreadfully afraid. David saw the thing in the true perspective, in the spiritual realm. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? We should live by faith in the spiritual realm, not by our sight of the physical realm. Cross reference right there. 27. And the people answered him in this manner, saying, so shall it be done for the man who killed him. 20. Now Elah, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the man. And Eliab's anger was aroused against David, and he said, why did you come down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the insolence of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle. David heard of the criticism or mockery, your pride and the insolence of your heart, your pride and your rude heart, from his elder brother Eliab, but he was not discouraged. Further, he expressed his faith again in verse 26, finally dedicating his battle against Goliath to the Lord in verse 49. And David said, "What have I done now? Is there another cause? Our God has a reason with God, not unreasonable." 30. Then he turned from him toward another and said the same thing, and these people answered him as the first ones did. 31. Now when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." David's brevity upon the faith, not upon the flesh. 33. And Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for you are youth, and he a man of war from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant used to keep his father's sheep, and when the lion or bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after it and struck it and delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard and struck and killed it." So it says, "Your servant had killed both the lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, seeing he had defied the armies of the living God." 36. David, as a shepherd, using a sling to kill lion and bear for the protection of a sheep from the predators. He's winging around with that sling, throwing the flying stone at the animals. 37. Moreover, David said, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of these Philistines." It shows David's unwavering faith, "Deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." So Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, "I cannot walk with thee, for I have not tested them." So David took them off. David took off Saul's helmet, coat, and sword as a sword. But David, as a shepherd, took his staff by the smooth stones and a sling for the battle against Goliath. Unlike a sword, in the conventional way of a sword, David came to the battle in the unconventional way of a sling. Then he took his staff in his hand. He chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in a shepherd bag, in a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to Philistine. So the Philistine came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him. He was only a youth, ruddy and good-looking. So the Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And the Philistines cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, "Come to me, and I will give you a flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." 45. Then David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord over hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David looked at the sword, a spear, or a javelin of Goliath and faced the battle. But David immediately saw the spiritual violence, not the physical violence, that he was aware and conscious that God was for him, saying, "The battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands," in verse 47. The Lord would give David this victory of Goliath, who defied him with his weapons, who can be against us. The merciful God forgave our sins through Jesus Christ. We are blessed because of his forever enduring mercy. Who is he who condemns? Nobody will separate from the love of Christ. As we look at the problems of life or we face the battle, she immediately sees the spiritual realm rather than physical realm. Then we have that awareness that and the conscious that God is for me. It's an important thing. Or cross reference right there, 46. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give you the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with the sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord, and he will give you in our hands. So it was when Philistine arose came and drew near to meet David, and David hurried and went toward the army to meet the Philistines. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone, and he flung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. David got the victory of Goliath in the unconventional way of the sling, rather than the conventional way of a sword. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. The battle is the Lord's, and God will give us the victory in one of various ways. If we will remain by faith in spiritual realm, the realm of the Holy Spirit. So God's work is not subjected to a particular way, but God may use the various ways which God desires for his good purpose, such as the conventional or unconventional or natural or supernatural way through a person of faith. Close reference right there. So David prevailed 50 of Philistine with a sling and stone and struck the Philistine, killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David went and stood over the Philistine, took his sword and drew it out of his sheath and killed him, cut off his head with it. And when Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Now the men of Israel and Judah arose and shouted, pursued the Philistines as far as the entrance of the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of Philistines fell along the road to Sharaim, even as far as Gath and Ekron. Then the children of Israel returned from chasing the Philistines, and they plundered their tents, and David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. When Saul saw David going out against the Philistines, he said to Abner, the commander of the army, "Abner, which son is this you?" And Abner said, "As your soul liveth, O king, I do not know." So the king said, "Inquire which son this young man is." Then as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son are you, young man? So David answered, I am the son of your servant Jesse, the Bethlehemite, another words, from Bethlehem, hometown. Because Saul had a distressing spirit, after the spirit departed from Saul. Saul might have failed to recognize David. Although Saul once recognized him, hiring him, cross-reference right there. So cross-reference right there, we already covered both those questions. You may read the continuing mission report in each special Peru mission tour as well. Also, the Bible schools to train pastors in Africa, also Ukraine area, they are fatherless children, also elder people home like that. Let's just sing all together Malachi song on brochure.